All right, y'all. I haven't done this in a long time. I did one for XRP a long time ago, which I will link in the description. I also did one for Project New Dawn, which is an hbar and XRP collaboration for CBDCs as well. But I wanted to talk about XLM right now because of everything in the news and online about this new announcement that will come on September 11th or 12th, that I'm kind of expecting some actual real significant announcement here. So I thought it was a good time to really get into what XLM is, who they are partnered up with, and all of the things that they have gotten involved in and have already created that can set them up to what I believe, or I am beginning to think, that XLM will be the quote unquote one world currency, where XRP might end up being quote unquote the one world value network, not the one that performs every action out there. So let's just get into this. We've got XLM at about 13 cents right now. That's up about 15% over the last week. The announcement was made about a week ago that there will be a significant announcement on September 11th or 12th. Maybe something to do with their partnership with MoneyGram. Now might be a couple of other things. I just put out a video on that I will link as well. But let's just get right into this, and I'm going to start in a counterclockwise order for no particular purpose here, other than we're going to start with where the connections are and then what we can do with them as we work around this. So I've got this kind of in order, I hope. This is kind of where I began this idea to talk about this more, and I will link this article into our conversations later, but this got me thinking. How is XLM tied into all of these things? So, well, I guess before I get into that, no, I'll save that for where it's actually at. So, XLM, if you look at this document here, it's from 2021. The World Bank, which is down here, is here too, right? So if you look for XLM in here, you can see that it is being talked about with XRP and XLM. They're already out there as one of the main options for low cost, fast transactions, right? So if we continue to work around, we've got World Economic Forum, which I'm never really a fan of, but and for lack of a better word, I think that crypto adoption, particularly in the financial services part of the world, is kind of a necessary evil, and I plan to ride that success in order to prosper within whatever one world system comes out of that. But the SDF is certainly part of the World Economic Forum, right? So they are very connected. Let's look at the next one. Yeah. Okay. So if you look at Soroban and how it ties, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm just going to go with that. But if you look at how XLM ties into Soroban, you get some. It is a smart contract platform that is designed on the XLM network, which is good because you're not having to tie into the Ethereum virtual machine and that network in order to utilize smart contracts, even though that will come up soon in our conversation here. Now, the next point is this ISO 200 2022. We got XLM gets ISO 200 2022 support, which opens a $1 trillion market on the XLM chain and Circle USDC. I just did a video about how XLM and USDC have been working together for a while now. And that's went into a little bit of a conspiratorial thing about SBF and FTX and Ukraine, but we will come back and talk about that too. So XLM and the network is ISO 200-2022 compliant. It's not that the token is, it's that the messaging protocol behind it on the network is ISO 200-2022 compliant, which has to do with being compliant with financial transactions. So I went and picked BlackRock, Grayscale, and Deloitte from this list, which led me into some pretty interesting things and how they tie back into XLM. So if we go to BlackRock first, XLM is working with JP Morgan and BlackRock in the CFTC's Global Advisory Committee. That is the commodity regulator organization here in the US, right? So they are tied in with all of these big boys. You've got JP Morgan, BlackRock, and Goldman Sachs as well. So they're tied in with the major financial and financial services organizations that are here in the US and across the world too. All right, so then the next one, let's see. This was mainly about Deloitte, but and it's old. It's from 2016, but Deloitte announced that it is working with 5 prominent blockchain companies, including the SDF, to provide new technological capabilities to its global financial institution client base. So they are developing 20 blockchain-related prototypes that cover a variety of applications, digital identity, banking, cross-border payments, all of the things that we know that things like XLM and XRP are very well suited for and have partnered up to actually take action on as well. Then we go into Grayscale, which I think people recognize that name by now, but Grayscale has a trust for XLM, 9.2 million assets under management. It's up 17.3% over the last year. It is down 14% since it was created at the end of 2018, but that's just because of the crypto market overall. And XLM has been particularly hard hit. I do have a very large amount of XLM in an IRA, and I am down pretty significantly from the time I got in 2021, but I'm not really worried about that, just because, especially after all of this, I think the XLM is very well positioned to see some price increases in the short term, the midterm, and over the long term as well. So I don't really have any concerns about my position. All right, so then we go up from XLM into the box up here with Mercado, Bitcoin, and BIT. So I looked into that too. BIT and the SDF chosen as finalists for the Global CBDC Challenge. This is from 2021. But the SDF was announced as one of 15 finalists for the Monetary Authority of Singapore's Global CBDC Challenge to develop and showcase retail CBDC products. So again, XLM is not only tied into cross-border payments and remittances, but also into CBDCs, and it's been a while now. So then we go up into this technology bridge type of thing up here in the top right. Looked a little bit more into that too. So with this company, we have a trust minimized bridge between XLM and other chains. So this article talks about how it is developing a XLM based chain that that will it's operating as an interoperable layer that all comes back to XLM. And it explains it more here, but essentially I found that interoperate with Ethereum was a really interesting point. So as a start, they will interoperate with one network, Ethereum, where a significant amount of DeFi is being built today, which is true, but there's many other networks that will be much more efficient than Ethereum, even after they changed from proof of work over to proof of stake. It's just expensive on the gas fees. I don't do anything on it if I don't absolutely have to, and I don't. So this top part here was actually what my video from a few days ago now was talking about, and that is up here. I will include that in the link below. But it basically lies out, as you can see in this overall chart, that back in 2022, XLM worked with Circle and USDC to provide relief to Ukraine as a part of the war, whatever you want to call it, happening over there. And I was actually able to use XX's other graphic to show how that can look a lot like what FedNow can do with CBDCs and then sending them out to us or whoever chooses or has to use those. So if you're interested in that more, I do a more in-depth explanation of that. So that will be down below as well. So over here in the top left, we have modern Web 2 based currency transfer companies, I guess. So you have Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, Western Union. We also have MoneyGram in there now, which is a more recent collaboration for XLM. But if we go over, where was it? Here, maybe. I have a lot of tabs open right now. Yeah, so this one is particularly talking about Stripe, and it's from 2019. So XLM jumped about 20% following the news that the online payments provider is considering adding support for XLM as it moves away from Bitcoin. I believe this has become completely official now. I have heard a lot about that over time. I just haven't paid enough attention to it, in all honesty. All right, so I'm getting lost in my tabs here. We've got IBM next, which that kind of tied into the Hyperledger product that they have, and that operates on Linux as well. So, yeah, here we go. We have, it's from IBM.com, fueling the financial industry with open source cross-border payments. And if you look down here, there's tons of stuff about XLM. So it is utilizing XLM on the network in order to act as a bridge currency, which more and more I am beginning to think that XLM will be the common bridge currency and XRP will be the common bridge value, I guess, is one way to explain it. Even though XRP has gotten into the bridge currency part a lot with remittances and cross-border payments, they have many more partnerships that are much more valuable, like with the ISDA, the Swaps and Derivatives Association. That is really where hundreds of trillions of value are that Ripple and XRP are very uniquely positioned to take advantage of. So, yeah, this was the first article I found, but it does talk about Visa as well, which I guess I skipped over. But yeah, that they are tied in with them too. So I can just X that out. That wasn't as important to me. Yeah, so here, that's 2 years ago as well. Not as interesting, right? So this was for Fireblocks, which is coming here. I know that I got more on, okay, Hyperledger, right? So the Hyperledger is an IBM thing, and it's basically an open source project, uh, and it's a modular blockchain framework for enterprise applications. It's an open, proven, enterprise-grade distributed ledger, privacy controls, permission network, confidential transactions. It's basically just a private chain, right? So, but that is a very prominent chain and organization to work with, and many other of my favorite crypto projects are involved with them one way or another, such as hbar and Casper. In between those, I think hbar is still my favorite, but I think Casper has a lot of long-term potential as well. So let's see, I am lost in my tabs still. So that brings us down to Fireblocks on the screen here. So that is, yeah, so they offer XLM custody services, treasury management, risk mitigation tools, and asset issuance. So it's basically a custody company in order to make this large scale institutional money be able to legally and confidently operate on XLM and in the crypto space. So then we've got Flare, right? And this has a lot of crap. I used to be excited about this. It was a lot of hype. They haven't done absolutely anything. I actually got rid of all of my Songbird and Flare. I think I cashed in at a pretty significant loss for XDC and Casper, but I'm okay with that right now. But the Flare network is its own network for smart contracts, essentially. It does work with Ethereum-based applications and contracts. Once we get regulatory clarity and institutional and enterprise adoption, I think that network will become much more valuable, but to me right now, I'm just ignoring it. So then we have, yeah, I had some more Hyperledger stuff. That's an interesting article. It's also really, really long, but it explains it well. This is about Velocity, or Velo. So Velo Labs is building a unique federated credit exchange network. This network is powered by the Velo protocol, which is a blockchain financial protocol enabling digital credit issuance and borderless asset transfers for businesses using a smart contract system. So again, there's a lot of concentration on contracts here, because in order to work at an enterprise and an institutional height, you need to be able to execute things upon certain conditions being met in order to automate things as much as you can, just because that's essentially how the current system works, which is not as efficient, but it's just how it works, and it's what they have to replace or compete with. So this article is talking about Velo's XLM and Binance chain bridge. I'm not too particularly interested in the Binance chain, but it just shows you how it is being used right now. So this is the velo.org website. It has a white paper and it explains it a lot more. It was updated in June 2023. It explains their Web3 Plus ecosystem. Let's see if I can find anything cool in here about XLM, but it is not called out individually unless this is a searchable document. But yeah, if you're interested in that, it's all here. It explains how it works. It explains what they're trying to accomplish. One key thing that I picked up on is that it's anonymous and there's no KYC. That, in my opinion, is always ideal because the less people know about me, the more I'm comfortable with it. But it does have options for that as well. So this brings us down into the bottom left with Ultra Stellar. This was interesting because I actually haven't heard of this, but it is a 4% APY yield on XLM with this products, and it's automatic, flexible on-chain rewards right to your wallet every day. These XLM wallets have been talked about a lot. I use Ledger for my XLM. I have heard terrible things about Lobster, in all honesty, but I like to have all of mine in one place, or, well, I don't have them all on one. I have them on more than one. But yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything at a high level explanation, and I didn't take all day, so I am happy to say that. But yeah, I will put a lot of these links in the description below. I've made multiple videos related to this, so if anyone's interested in any one of these particular things, and if you want to know more about it, just put that in the comments and I can invest more time in that and see what we can come up with out of it. And I just hope to help everyone learn as I do, because honestly, I haven't ever looked into all of these things all at once, and I didn't even know about probably 2/3 of the partnerships and the working relationships on here. So I got something out of it, and I hope you did as well.